So it has been a minute since I showed you what I have unhauled from the shelves. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizard of the Reads, and as always guys, I am Andrew, and today it is time for another unhaul. That's right, we've got around 31 books/series to unhaul from the collection today. Before we get into that, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. And you can check the description box down below for links to all my social media, including information about my Patreon. And if you want to help support the channel and keep the channel vibrant and growing, that's the best way to help me kind of maintain the channel. And it's always greatly appreciated, but never mandatory. That out of the way though, let's talk about some unhauls. And there's even more books that I've already unhauled, but like I just unhauled them off screen, and now I don't remember what I've unhauled, which is my bad. But I mean, these things happen. But I do have 31 books kind of clumped into series that I have just kind of either tried or lost interest in, or other things have kind of pushed them out of the collection. I mean, I'm constantly bringing you new books with all of my book hauls, and the natural, result of that is I have to prune the collection sometimes and like really, keep on the shelf what really made me happy or what I'm really excited to get to. And a lot of the times, like something that I may have liked just doesn't really have a place on the shelf anymore because it's being pushed out by a 3 series that I loved. And so that's kind of what's happened here. And before we get into the books, in that description box down below, there's a link to my PANGO bookstore where I unhaul all of these books. They're all listed there. I'm not getting into prices or what I'm selling them for. If you want to know, or if you're curious, you can go check that link and check out my PANGO bookstore. But that said, let's get into the books. And first off, I might have talked about this one already, but I couldn't quite remember. I've got a huge stack of books over there that is just my unhaul pile. And we've got the complete works of Lewis Carroll. And this isn't anything against Lewis Carroll. It's just something against this kind of edition. Because there's a gorgeous Barnes & Noble copy that's around $35. It's like faux leather bound. And it's like sky blue, if I remember correctly. And I really want that edition. And so I'm just going to kind of let this one go and then go get that edition. So this is just kind of me getting rid of an older copy so that I can get a nicer copy that I can go, ooh, shiny and pretty with. Next up, we've got this one. Now, I loved this book, but I DNF'd its sequel and lost interest in the series altogether. Additionally, I have the audiobook, and I don't know if this is something that I will ever reread. Like, it's really good, and it's really thought-provoking and intriguing, but I don't know if I'll ever reread it, and it's kind of thick. Now, it's not in the greatest condition, but it is in readable condition, and that's Children of Time, Adrian Tchaikovsky, if you can't see it on screen. But I'm just deciding to let this one go, and kind of like, because I'm currently buying the Final Architecture, and you can kind of see them right here. And if I remove that book, this one right here, Children of Time, that leaves kind of just this slot where I've got my hand, where I can kind of use as a placeholder, hopefully, fingers crossed I don't buy anything and slot it in there beforehand, that I can then kind of complete this trilogy. So that's kind of the thought process I had. Does it make sense? I don't know. Now up next, we've got Clive Barker's Weave World. And I liked this book when I read it 2, maybe 3 years ago. And this is a hardcover. It's in Mylar wrapped, and it's in great condition. The pages are not marked in or anything like that. I don't know. It's been sitting on the shelf, and while I liked it, I didn't love it, but it's very interesting. And if you like kind of portal fantasy, or you like really beautifully written, but kind of darker fantasy, then Weave World's where it's at. But I am unhauling this as well and adding it to the bookstore. And then along with that, I just decided that I was going to get rid of all of my Clive Barker, because it's not anything that I ever go, ooh, shiny, I want to reach for that. Like, I always want to reach for other things other than Clive Barker. This is also one, I will preface, that is an unfinished series. Like, the second book came out a while ago. This is kind of like in that list of series that is waiting its conclusion. and Clive Barker just kind of hasn't gotten around to writing it yet. This is The Great and Secret Show. This is the hardcover. I believe it's a first edition, American first edition, but I'm not entirely sure. Can I see that? I don't know if it's a first edition, but what I can tell you is that it is, in fact, signed, and I do have it Mylar wrapped. So this is a gorgeous book. I don't know if the camera's going to quite pick it up, but there's like faces and all sorts of stuff kind of hidden. Can you kind of see that? It's gorgeous. But yeah, I am removing that just because I've heard great things about the book. I've heard decent things about the sequel, but I just don't know if I want to continue reading Clive Barker. And if I do, I'll probably just do it on audio or ebook and kind of free up some shelf space. Now, this is one I'm going to catch some flack for, but I've decided it's time that I remove them from the collection because I bought these 4 books. I was living in the other house when I did it. I want to say it's been 2 years, and I have yet to return to the series. And I've DNF'd the prequel series, which may give some of you a hint of what I'm talking about, and that is Rhaenyra Chronicles. And specifically, this is the matching size set, where I believe these are now in a different size. He was unable to maintain that. So these two are currently out of print. These editions are out of print, if I understand correctly. And this is The Crown Tower, The Throne and the Rose, The Rose and the Thorn. Sorry, I don't know why I said that. My brain flipped it. The Disappearance of Winter's Daughter, and The Death of Dulgoth. And these are all signed as well. You can see right there. And the reason I'm removing these is I'm not saying I will never read this series, but I am not the biggest fan of Rhaenyra. And that's not just because they're bad. It's just that's not because I think they're bad. It's just I don't think it's ever going to rank in on all-time favorites for me. And I would rather these fall into the hands of somebody who is going to love them and take care of them, rather than me hoard them on my shelf and just neglect them. So I'd like these to go to a home of somebody who is excited to have them on the shelf and is going to cherish them. It doesn't make any sense for me to have them on the shelf, mainly because I'm very fair to mixed on the series. And along with that is, I don't know if this set is still for sale. It could be, but we've also got Rhaenyra Revelations. And I love Theft of Swords. I liked Rise of Empires, and I was kind of on Heir of Navron. These are also signed. So I'll just go ahead and showcase that. But again, my comments kind of stand where I'm at with this series. Is I would just rather somebody who wants them to have them. And they're all in really great condition. I think the only damage, and it arrived from Michael J. Sullivan like this, is when I bought the collection, is it's got like just this wear where the black is just kind of worn away, but it's not actual damage. Looks like a printing error. But yeah, also signed. So I'm removing Rhaenyra from my collection just to kind of make room for something I'm a little bit more excited to read. And then over here we have got, again, this is not going to be the most popular of decisions, but we've got Death Gate Cycle in mass market paperback. And this is Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman. We've got Dragonwing. I've got them all out of order, which is fantastic. I love when that happens. Elven Star, Fire Sea, and then we've got Serpent Mage, and then I don't remember, because they're not numbered after that, they just say Deathgate novels, but I think Seventh Gate is the last one, and then we've got these two, which is The Hand of Chaos and Into the Labyrinth. And the specific reason I'm listing these is because I'm not the biggest fan of mass market paperbacks anymore. You can see, of course, Hourglasses. These are a deceptively strong prescription. And yeah, it's difficult to read mass market paperbacks. Also, I read Dragonwing, and I gave it about 3.5 stars. And I just haven't felt any excitement since I read it earlier this year. I think I read the first book like 6 months ago in February or March. I could be mistaken on the timeline, but it's been a number of months. And I think I made a half-hearted attempt to put Elven Star on my TBR once. And I just got shoved out by something I was more excited for. So I'm not feeling like I'm going to prioritize Deathgate Cycle. And I mean, that is a fair amount of shelf space because it is a 7-book series. So I have that listed on the Pango as well. Then we've got two here, which I'm sure are fantastic, but they just don't call to me like I think they should be. And these are two Wraithmark Creative paperbacks. We have got Mark of Kings and Blood of Kings. And I tried reading Mark of Kings, and I kind of just NFN'd it in the first chapter, maybe second chapter. It just wasn't pulling me in. And that was, again, I was living in the other house, and I've been here for almost a year. And I think it was summer or spring. So it's been about 1.5 to 2 years since I even attempted to read these books. So I'm going to decide to just list these and let them go to a new home. And then this one I told a funny story about, because my buddy T from Erudite Adventure bought me a copy of this book 1.5 years after he'd had a discussion about this book. The problem is I'd been at my local used bookstore, found a copy of the book that same week, and had purchased it. And I didn't know he had sent me a copy. So this is the edition that I purchased from the used bookstore, and I have kept the copy that he sent me. This is Dawn of Wonder by Jonathan Renshaw, and I've heard nothing but fantastic things about this. I think a bunch of us are planning a kind of just get together and read all of these books. And fingers crossed, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. And yeah, that one's just going because of a funny story, because I don't need 2 copies of the book. Now these are going because they're my wife's, and she doesn't want them, and I'm not willing to kind of hunt down editions of these. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do the illustrated editions, because those are stunning. And this is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets in the original hardcover. They do have the dust jackets. They're all in really good shape. I don't remember what edition they are. I believe they are, let's see, so this is a first edition, possibly 10th printing on Chamber of Secrets. And this is a first edition, possibly, let's see, 5th edition. So this is, no, wait, this is first edition, 5th printing. There we go. So I am listing these as well. My kids are so young that they're going to tear them up. And frankly, I just want those illustrated editions, and I'm not going to hunt down, because I had these in hardcover growing up, but I was a child, and I destroyed them. Which is just a funny thing when you look back on your childhood self and you go, why didn't you preserve that? That was worth a lot of money 30 years from now. Well, because my brain doesn't work like that, or it didn't. Next up, this is one I just simply lost interest in. And these 3 books are called I believe these are Dragon Prince, I think is the name of the series, right here in trade paperback, which is very hard to find, because anytime I'm ever at a used bookstore, these are in mass market paperback, and they're always destroyed, which is why I wanted to buy them, because I always thought, hey, these have got to be good if they're always just completely wrecked. But I just kind of lost interest in the series, and I've had it now for over a year. Again, I bought it in the old house, and I moved them into this house, and I've never reached for it once. This is Melanie Ron's Dragon Prince. Oh, yeah, there we go. Book 1, Dragon Prince of the Dragon Prince trilogy. Durr. Then we've got the Star Scroll right here. Some gorgeous art. I wonder if these are... Yeah, these are Michael Whelan covers, so very cool there. And I'm always sad to get rid of a Michael Whelan cover. And then we've got Sunrunner's Fire. So I am letting those go to kind of make more room for some trade paperbacks that I'm excited for. And I've been collecting some John Marco, which these kind of freed up some space for John Marco. And then the last series I have to talk about. I read the first 2 books of these. And I really liked the first book, but I didn't love it. And then I gave the second book 2 stars. And it left such a bad taste in my mouth. I have been unable to come back to this series. And this is Con Ingledon's historical fiction. I believe this is the Con Dynasty series, and that is book 1, which I've got these out of order. Wolf of the Plains, and I really enjoyed this one. Then Lords of the Bow didn't quite work for me, but it's not necessarily bad. It just wasn't what I wanted. Bones of the Hills. And again, these are mass market paperbacks, and I do have access to the audios via my Scribd account. So if I ever do decide to continue, I can continue through there. Empire of Silver, and then Conqueror. Now, I do have other Con Ilgolden books. I have the Caesar collection, I believe is what it's called. And I've got those slated to read probably in 2024. And so fingers crossed that those kind of sit a little bit better for me, not on me, better for me. That's what I meant to say. But that's really all I've got for you guys. These are all the books that I am removing and listing on my Pango books to kind of make room in the collection and fund other book acquisitions. Let me know in the comments down below which of these do you think I'm making a massive mistake on, because I know somebody's going to. But I'd love to talk to you about it. That's all I've really got for you today, guys. So till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. I could not do this without you.